You know, over the years we've done a number of different lakes where we just pull up to a ramp, go out and fish the body water and then show you what happens. And today that's what our plan was. However, with the new technology, we thought we'd go to Facebook at fishingclub.com and have some of our Facebook fans tell us how to start today. Like the wind today, not.
A windy day, a brand new lake, and a little experiment with social media on the water.
You know, one of the biggest challenges in fishing is to go to a brand new body of water, one that you've never been to before, and find some fish. You know, in the past we've done a number of shows this way, but today we're doing a new wrinkle. I want to introduce Greg Huff.
I'm Greg Huff, better known as Web Guy Greg. I thought, well, why don't we ask our Facebook community for tips to help us pattern the lake, and we can almost pattern it in real time. It's 80% sand according to the DNR. So about a day before we went out on the water, I posted a contour map of the lake, and then we posted that it was a 300-acre lake that had a sand bottom, had docks, had a little bit of reeds, and had some emergent vegetation.
Well, look, we got an algae bloom already. I love the idea. Water clarity. Last night we had a major front come through. Water temp dropped. Temperatures dropped over 20 degrees. We've got a big wind today. We've got no clouds whatsoever. So that may throw a little wrench into our pattern. You know, building a pattern on a new body of water can be tough. I like to look at things like the time of year, the water clarity, the body of water itself. What does it have in terms of structure, depth, forage species, in terms of numbers of bass. When we went into the shallows, where I thought we'd find the fish, the docks, the shallow bays, the inside weed lines, the problem was we just simply weren't getting bit, or we picked up just one or two. It's when we started to slide out into deeper water is when we found the big numbers of fish.
Fish on!
Oh, you got one?
Yep.
Greg caught it on a Havoc wide load off the shadow of a dock, and I thought, okay, here we've got a pattern. We got our first fish in the boat. It moved on a bait that moves a lot of water.
They're not quite as shallow as we thought they might be. Yep, I'll take it.
On this particular day, the worms took off. For whatever reason, the bass were responding to 7-inch power worms in big numbers. Got him. Oh, look at how far off the dock he came. You know, we're catching lots of fish. Lots of this size right here, though.
Yep.
You know, pound and a half. Look at how chunky these fish are. I mean, these things are, you know, he threw my power worm, a little slimer. But look at it. I mean, what's a 20-inch fish gonna look like out of this lake? So now we have a pattern started. We found some fish and the worms are working. Now the key is tweaking the presentation. On this particular day, I'd loaded up with 12-pound Stren fluorocarbon. When I'm fishing baits like jigs, or I'm fishing baits like worms, baits that have a fall rate that you can adjust by the fishing line that you're using. In the case of fluorocarbon, it sinks faster than mono, it sinks faster than braid. I think that sinking, the actual sinking of the line enhances some presentations. And in this case today, I went to a very, very light bullet sinker and the fluorocarbon, and the combination of that on the worm working over the weed line was absolutely deadly. Got him.
Nice one.
That's a good one. Oh, he's in the weeds. Look at, come on. He's a better fish, but he's still not one of those 5s that we're looking for. Best one yet, though. Look at that. No, Greg, I like this spot. I just think we should go back up into the wind so we don't get out in that real heavy wind and just work the outer edge, because we worked everything on the inside, but this is the outer edge is working better. What was really cool throughout the day is Greg would take a photo or a clip of video and post it up on Facebook. And the response was immediate. The enthusiasm was so much there. Way to go, guys. Hey, have you thought about trying this? Great information from a passionate group of anglers. It really felt like there was more of us than just two in the boat, and I like that.
You know what else he likes?
Oh, boy.
When you start to figure out a pattern, and it results in bigger fish.
Come here.
This is North
That's
American
the one we've been
Fisherman.
waiting for, guy, right there.
North American Fisherman is brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. By Berkley Tri-Lead, anglers trust Berkley Tri-Lead, America's strongest. Quebec, providing emotions since 1534. Yeti Coolers, wildly stronger, keeps ice longer. And by these other fine sponsors.
You ever thought you could teach me how to fish? Well, today's your chance. One of the things I really enjoy as a fisherman is to go to a new body of water and try and figure it out. And on this particular trip, Greg Huff and I went to a brand new body of water, but we had a little bit of a twist in the story.
I thought, well, why don't we ask our Facebook community for tips to help us pattern the lake?
You know, it's funny, when I left the house in the morning, my wife says, are you nervous about relying on Facebook and the fans on Facebook and the friends on Facebook to suggest this? And initially I was. That green pumpkin power worm on a Texas rig seems to be our best bet. We've thrown spinner baits, we've thrown jerk shads, we've thrown jigs with sugar craws. And today, I'm just gonna let this guy go. But as I went through the posts, there was some great information there from some great anglers, and it was an experience that actually changed the way I fished. It was 102 yesterday, it's 80 today. It's kind of like a reverse cold front. It went so hot, and it went so cold again, and even though it's 80 degrees, it's still a cold front because it's down about 20 degrees. So we're fishing deeper, and we're fishing slower, and that seems to be the ticket of getting bit. So, combined with the great advice from our Facebook friend, we add a slower approach and take what we know to create a pattern that's getting hotter and hotter as the day goes on.
Got him.
Nice. Down in the grass. There's so many different ways to work a worm, and you can swim them. Look at this, caught several of these now. I mean, 15 of them, I bet. Nice bass though, real heavy. You know, we're doing basic fishing as you can do, just a small bullet sinker. I've got a 2-aught hook here, offset. Just running a 7-inch green pumpkin power worm. Just rigging it Texas style because there's a lot of grass in this lake. Just pull the worm down to here and just bury it like that. I've got 12-pound Stren fluoro on here, and it just fired up against the edge. We got some weed lines. Now we've been working the inside weed lines and we're not getting bit. We're finding all of our fish on the outside weed lines. And now that we've moved out, we've picked up several fish like that one I just caught, but we're still looking for the giants, and that's the one that we just haven't cracked the nut yet. As an angler, one of the things that really gets my motor running is fishing new bodies of water. He's got it. Right. Ooh, that's a good one. Because it's a great challenge. It's taking everything you've learned and putting it into a day and making things happen. Typically the days start out slow, they pick up, and once you figure it out, it really flies. What's fun about fishing with our fans on Facebook and posting throughout the day is sharing this experience and just a sense of community from our fellow anglers across the country who are living it with you. Got him. He's gonna jump. Oh, nice fish. You know, I wonder if we should try hard baits up here. Well, look at that. That water here is clear. We found the clearest water on the lake, and that's where we're finding our fish. That's a good size one. One of the better ones today. Oh yeah. Look at that guy. A lot of fish like that in this lake, you know. 2.5 pounds, 2 3/4. You know, and for a lake that we'd never been on before, this is interesting that I really expected these fish to be up shallow, We're finding them up on the outside weed line, not the inside weed line.
I have to admit, 3 years ago, if you'd have told me I spent a portion of every day on Facebook, I'd have told you nuts. I really didn't want to see the updates on someone's meatloaf or the fact that they're stuck on the tarmac. But Facebook has evolved. The people that are using Facebook have evolved. It's a source of information. It's a source of community. It's a source of entertainment. I really enjoy being on there, and I hope you join me on our Fishing Club Facebook site. When you use the right gear, you catch more fish. And I want you to enjoy the exact same success that we did on today's show. That's why we're giving you a chance to win the selection of lines and lures that we use, including a spool of 12-pound nanofill line, a spool of 12-pound trilene 100% fluorocarbon, a package of 7-inch power worms, a package of 10-inch power worms, and a package of 7-inch power bait heavyweight sink worms. To enter this free drawing, go to Facebook and like the Fishing Club. Then, click on the TV-tested Win What's Working button at the top of the page and follow the simple instructions. Love the fish? Then like the Fishing Club on Facebook. There's a lot to like and a lot to win.
Coming up next, Dock Talk, the importance of quickly removing a hook, and the latest battle in knot wars. You're watching North American Fisherman.
Welcome to Knot Wars, where we pit fishing's best knots in a head-to-head competition to determine which knots you can count on. Last week in a heated battle, the I-Crosser again proved tough to beat as it took down a strong competitor in the cheek knot as we continue our search for the strongest knot with mono. For consistency, all testing will be done with 14-pound Berkley XT Tough Red monofilament. The weekly winner will be the knot with the highest overall average after it's tied and tested a minimum of 12 times. If you missed last week's episode, here's a refresher on how to tie the I-Crosser. Run the line through the hook eye twice and then back up the main line about 8 inches. Bring the tag end back toward the hook and wrap it around the parallel lines 2 to 3 times. Finally, moisten with a bit of saliva and draw tight. The challenger this week is the Homer Circle knot developed by Uncle Homer himself. It really performed well in last year's Knot Wars competition and is especially strong with mono. Here's how you tie it. Start by running the tag end through the hook eye once, leaving about 6 inches of line to work with. Tie an overhand knot around the standing line, but don't tighten. Above the knot, make 3 wraps around the standing line, then bend the tag end around the standing line and make 3 more wraps in the opposite direction before inserting the tag end through the overhand knot. Cinch by pulling on the hook, tag end, and standing line after lubricating with a bit of saliva. So it's the I-Crosser versus the Homer Circle knot. Which is stronger with mono? Let's find out. I already have the trusty knot testing machine set up. We've got our challenger, the Homer Circle, here on the left. We got our reigning weekly champ, the I-Crosser, here on the right. Here goes. Oh, we have a winner. The I-Crosser has beaten the Homer Circle, but look at these scores. It was simultaneous. Pop, pop. Both of these knots are super strong with mono. Remember, we're testing with 14-pound XT. And you know what that means? It means the I-Crosser moves on to next week where it takes on the tough trilene knot. Hey, this knot was developed specifically for mono, so this will be a great battle. By the way, if you'd like to practice the I-Crosser, the Homer Circle, or any of the knots featured in Knot Wars, simply visit fishingclub.com and click on Knot Wars, or better yet, download the free Knot Wars app, now available for both iPhone and Android. Knot Wars, because no good fish story ends in a broken knot.
You know, when you're fishing, sooner or later, a fish is going to get hooked deeply in the throat. And a common question anglers ask is, what's the best way to get that hook out of the fish? There are alternatives. A recent study by the Illinois Natural History Survey provided some information about this often debated question of the best way to unhook a deeply hooked fish. Anglers were allowed to fish for the fish with live bait, but intentionally instructed to let the fish swallow the hook. The hooks were removed in one of 3 ways. First, grab the hook with a hemostat, twist it, turn it, and eventually it pops out of the throat. Second way, similar method, but they crimp the barb on the hook. The third method, which I'll call the gill removal method, involves inserting the hemostat up behind the gill cover, through the gill cavity, grab the eye of the hook and reverse it, and then pop that hook out of the throat. A fourth group of fish, they cut the line 2 inches from the hook and left the hook in the fish. Immediately after the fish was unhooked, a biologist gathered the fish, put it into a net pen to observe survival for a 24-hour time period. Also, control fish, fish that were hooked in the jaw and then quickly unhooked, went into the net pen. 24 hours later, none of the control fish, none of the fish with the hook left in and the line clipped, and none of the fish unhooked by the gill removal method had died. Mortality was 5% for fish where the barb was crimped before the hook was wiggled out, and 10% for the fish where the hook was just manipulated and removed from the throat. Catch and release isn't about whether the fish can swim away from the boat or whether it's alive in 24 hours. It's whether it can survive over the long term. After the net pen study, the fish were released into a pond. 2 months later, the pond was drained. Now what are the stats? Well, among the different hook removal methods and the control fish, mortality ranged from 16 to 39%, a wide range, but the mortality rates were not statistically different among treatments. The biologists also looked at the growth rate of the fish released into the pond. Of those that survived, regardless of how they were unhooked or the hook left in, they all grew, and there was no difference in growth rate among the different unhooking methods. The bottom line, doesn't matter how you unhook them. Some are going to die, but many are going to survive. You get a fish, wet your hands, get that hook out of the fish by your preferred method, and get it back in water as quickly as possible. Good fish handling procedures, good for the fish, good for fishing.
The following products have been field tested and approved by members of the North American Fishing Club. The new AquaView Micro Underwater Camera is the size of a smartphone, so take it anywhere. It offers a full-color camera with 50 feet of 22-pound test cable attached. Rodney Brewer of Etowah, Tennessee liked the compact size and ease of getting at hard-to-reach places. If you would like to become a field tester, text the word FISH plus your email address to 57682. Up next, create a little havoc next time you're on the water, and the results of figuring out a pattern, the best bass of the day, when North American Fisherman returns.
Ready to create a little havoc? So does Berkley. They have two goals for this new line of unscented bass baits. First, they'd want to top pros like Skeet Reese and Mike Iaconelli to help design new worms, craws, and other baits that anglers, and more importantly bass, have never before seen. Secondly, they wanted to offer today's anglers a tremendous value. Well, it's clear they've succeeded on both accounts. One of my favorite new havoc baits is the 5-inch crawfatty by Bobby Lane. Crawfatty has wider ribs and a wider body than other creature baits, yet is so thin that solid hookups are the rule. The bait works well when you flip or pitch it, but I really like it Texas rig or Carolina style. Iaconelli's Devil Spear has a unique segmented tail that provides a whipping or a flapping motion as the bait falls. Skeet Reese's 5-inch wide load is a really unique bait. This baby moves a lot of water, making it perfect for flipping, but it also works great on the deep weed edge. Fans of finesse worming or shaky heads will appreciate two havoc designs by Larry Nixon called the Bottom Hopper and the Bottom Hopper Jr. Both feature enlarged tails and thinner main body for incredible action. Hey, you want to create a little havoc on the water? Fish with the pros fish. Do Berkley Havoc. You got a fish? That's a nice fish. Wow, look at how thick that thing is. That thing is a tank. I went to a 10-inch worm, see if we could find one of those big girls. There you go. So how many impressions a week are we getting on the Fishing Club website, on the Facebook site?
Well, we've been up to 1 million, and we stay pretty steady at about 850,000 per week. And we've been up to 4 million a month and pretty steady at 3.5 million. So
if somebody wants to get involved, it's just Facebook and / Fishing Club, and
exactly.
To come on as a friend. Cool.
Exactly.
Hey, nice fish. Both of us were catching good numbers of fish, but what we weren't catching were those 17, 18, 19s, and 20s, those big bass. And finally, at the end of the day, I started breaking out the 10-inch worms looking for big fish, and it finally produced. Pick up. Get that 10-inch
It's in it. Oh,
Oh, that's the one.
hey, that's a good fish. That's a good fish. This is a good one. Greg, this is a good fish. Look at this. Look at her. What a beaut. Oh, he's gonna jump. Got her. Look at that fish. Unbelievable. Look at that. Yeah.
The 10-inch power worm.
You know, I always hesitate to go to that big of a bait in northern waters, but you know what? I think it's a mistake not to. Especially when you got fish like this available in this, you know? Hey, we've had a fun day today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what a blast. Sharing this whole day on Facebook, and you know what? The guys on Facebook for the fishing club know what they're doing. Yeah. Well, let's go home. Great day. That was fantastic.
North American Fisherman is brought to you by Yamaha Outboards. Reliability starts here. By Abu Garcia, for life. Berkley Gulp Alive. Looks alive, feels alive, tastes alive. And by these other fine sponsors.